any game, creating your first character, or any character for that matter, can cause a sense of pride, jubilee, and an endless uncertainty. Hey everyone, I'm Quietly, and today I thought we'd go over something you newer players may be pretty tentative about. Of course, being uncertain is only natural given the limitations that some other games place on you when creating a character. Let me assure you now, there are no barriers in any way you may be thinking. Every race and gender can play whatever class you want. Plus, it causes no large differences in story. So, what's the point of this video then? Well, there are some things I've learned as an experienced player of the game that I feel like new players would like to know going into creating their first character. We're going to go over them step by step in order that you'd see them during the creation itself, starting with race. Don't worry, other than a few racial skills that aren't largely used, there's really no up or downside to which race you pick. There's no racial bonuses. Mostly, the race you pick will affect you in a handful of ways out in the open world. For instance, race will affect your size. If you play Azura, you'll be very small, whereas if you play Char or Norn, you'll be very large. This is something you could probably tell from the start screen where you pick your race though. I just wanted to point it out because of two aspects of the game that may or may not become important to you later on. The first of which is Fashion Wars, the true endgame of Guild Wars 2. Looking stylish while you slay baddies is pretty much a must. Mind you, for some, stylish means stacking as many infusions as possible so that you look like a shiny ball of pixels when you run past. Regardless of whether you like that or not, you can expect some issues with some of the races. As a Char, there tends to be a lot of clipping due to their features. Mind you, no game is perfect, so you'll find clipping everywhere. I just thought I'd point it out because it does annoy some people. Another example is for Azura. Since the skins are sized to fit the race, you can expect everything to be shrunk down considerably, meaning some of your flashier skins may not look as cool on them. The second thing I want to point out to consider while picking a race are jumping puzzles. Scattered all over Tyria, these are a notorious feature that are either loved or hated. My point though is that your race can affect how you handle jumping puzzles. Azura, who are tiny and compact, will have an easier time with things, while something like a Norn, who is very large and very not compact, will have a larger issue. The hardest class, in my opinion though, is Char. Since they're cats, after a while they do this thing where they get down onto all fours and run like that, which makes it incredibly hard to jump. Or, at least for me, I have issues judging where I'm actually landing. Anyways, with those considered, there's one more thing to keep in mind when picking a race, which is Starter Zone. While you can visit all the other starter zones as soon as you get out of the tutorial, it would be nice if you could pick an area that you'd like the best first. If starting out with a BAM is important to you, I'll go over the different starter zones just so you can judge for yourself. Azura are a technological race that had been chased out of their underground homes to settle in the Maguma jungle. For them, you can expect both technology and jungle to be major themes in their maps. Kryta is the last Tyrian stronghold of the humans. When you start here, you can expect pretty normal fantasy-themed human realm. There's a lot of markets, people, and buildings that you'd usually see fitting this trope. Sylvari are the newly awoken race that are literally the essence of tree turned human. Due to this, you'll find a very plant-based community forming in their starter map. Not only are they made of plants, but so are their buildings and animals. Located high in the Shiver Peaks Mountains are the Norn. If you like icy Vikings, you'll probably like this race a lot. Just like their stature, everything you find in the Norn starter maps are very big and themed off of their guiding spirits, aka the spirits of the wild: bear, raven, wolf, worm, and ox. Last are the Char. If you've come from Guild Wars 1, you'll know them as the enemy. However, now they are friends. The grizzly, brutish, and hardcore sort of friends that you can imagine listening to heavy metal while they exchange war stories. Anyway, they claim Ascalon, a city built on war and industry. For this reason, you'll find both those themes heavily influence their starter area. If any of these themes scream "yes" at you, then that's probably a good place to start. With race selected, the next option you'll be presented with is class, which is the only thing that will affect your overall gameplay from this point on. There are 9 classes, 8 if you're trying the free version of Guild Wars 2 or don't have the expansion that Revenant is tied to. Each of these currently have 3 elite specializations with their own unique mechanics. Some of these are easier to catch on to, like Necromancer, Ranger, and Guardian, while others can be a bit more complicated, like Revenant, Elementalist, and Mesmer. Overall, pick the class that seems the most fun to you when starting out. You can go to the Heart of the Mist to test your class and the elite specs if you've purchased the expansions they're tied to. If you want a general overview of how the classes break down, I'll do that quickly. You have 3 heavy classes: Warrior, which breaks down into Berserker, Spellbreaker, and Bladesworn; Guardian with its elite specs Firebrand, Dragon Hunter, and Willbender; and Revenant that breaks down into Herald, Renegade, and Vindicator. The next set is the medium armor classes: Engineer with its specs Scrapper, Hollowsmith, and Mechanist; Ranger, whose elite specs are Druid, Soul Beast, and Untamed; and Thief, which has Daredevil, Deadeye, and Spectre as its elites. Finally, we have the light armor classes: Necromancer, whose elite specs are Scourge, Reaper, and Harbinger; Mesmer with Chronomancer, Mirage, and Virtuoso elite specs; and Elementalist broken into Weaver, Tempest, and Catalyst. Since the overall Holy Trinity is pretty obscure in Guild Wars 2, I can't really break down which of these means what for you. You can pick any class and play any role with it. Mind you, some will be better in the meta over others, especially those with pretty uncontested claims to specific roles in the current game balance, like Firebrand in World vs. World. Generally, though, you can find a build that will work in the role you want to play on any class. I'll link good sites below that are well known by the community if you want to take a look. Once you've picked class, you'll move on to figuring out how you want your character to look. I wasn't joking when I said Fashion Wars was the true endgame of Guild Wars 2. And Fashion Wars starts with this panel. If I don't give you a few warnings now, you may feel bad later on or like you need to delete your character. All of this is largely preference, obviously. However, while you're making your character, be sure that you're really inspecting it from different angles. It feels bad when you get out and realize your character has an unusually large sniffer, or other awkward features. Make sure you zoom in and out, turn your character, and inspect the whole of it. You can toggle on and off the clothes as well as the lights, which is the biggest tip I have ever found out about making my Sylvari characters. Toggling on and off the lights allows you to see the glow effect on the skin before continuing. This is huge because so many people have said they've completely ruined their Sylvari due to the wrong glow color. Patterns and colors on Azura and Char can be similar. Don't be afraid to take your time with this. I've spent hours figuring out what I want my characters to look like. At the same time though, don't stress yourself out over this part of the game. The features you pick aren't actually permanent. There are kits in-game called character makeover kits that allow you to change aspects of your character. In fact, a lot of the newer hairstyles and features are in these kits, while not in the beginning character select. Features, hair, and name can all be changed, so make what you like right now. Plus, you'll be changing armor rather quickly into the game. Dyes are account bound and switchable at any time after you've collected them as well. After this, you'll be asked some general questions that will make a few changes to your personal story at the start. They will eventually lead to the same ending of the core story, so there's no wrong answer. You'll just be picking the story you interact with from 10 to 20 and 20 to 30. Since I don't want to spoil anything for you, I won't go into detail on these. I just wanted to assure everyone that these are not huge decisions you'll be making, and really any of them are good choices. The last thing you'll be doing is selecting a name for your character, then going into a cutscene. This is a tutorial-like bit of story that's very brief. It involves a boss fight depending on which race you've selected before you're thrown into the open world, which will be the end of your character creation and the start of your journey as the commander. From now on, you'll be able to experience Guild Wars 2 in whichever fashion you want to, whether it be open world exploration, fractals, dungeons, PvP, world versus world, or if you have the expansions, raids, strikes, and so on. If you have any questions on any of that, please don't be afraid to ask questions in the comments below. I will do my best to answer any of them or point you into the direction of someone who can do it better than me. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If this video is helpful, please consider liking and sharing with your friends. Subscribing is a free way to support my channel as well. I hope to see you guys next time. Bye!